All right, hit play.
How it would work. If I were elected president, hypothetically, it would take me
Hypothetically.
3 years to unite the Democrats and Republicans back in bed together because the thing
Unite
they
them
fear
against you.
most is a third entity. They fear that more than anything else they talk about. They don't want a third entity in the game.
They fear the
And when that
metaphorical
entity
other.
comes into the game, rest assured within 4 years, the Dems and Repubs will be back in total unity. You'll see how wonderful they get along. So that is how, in one way, you save the nation.
Well, I mean, that's not a very hopeful story at some level because the Democrats and Republicans uniting to thwart the governor is
Wait, you want the truth, don't you?
I sure do.
There it is.
All right.
There it is.
So
That's what you're going to deal with.
So something else I wanted to mention is Jesse not only talks about that issue right there, but the big issue at hand is we literally witnessed in the Democratic primary twice. We even witnessed it in the Republican primary with Ron Paul. They will rather lose to the other side than to support someone who represents the people. Whether it's Ron Paul, Bernie Sanders. Again, Ron Paul maybe shouldn't have ran third party as a libertarian. I don't fucking know. I wasn't really big into politics of that issue. I would love to have heard the libertarian stance on that because we were all saying Bernie should have ran third. Should have ran Green, Jill's VP in 2016, and we would have had a chance. I wonder what people were saying about Ron Paul if they were saying, Ron, just drop out. Fuck the Republicans. They're rigging it against you. Run with libertarians. And if he pulled a Bernie and said no or not. That'd be interesting. Because I'll never forget Jimmy Stewart from The Daily Show did a segment on, Fox News and other right-wing media and mainstream media outlets basically ignoring Ron Paul running even though he was doing pretty decent in the polling. And so it was one of the same shit they did to Bernie. They barely talked about him, avoided him if possible, just left him out. Just so you don't even have it in your head that it's a thing if you're a mainstream news viewer. So, we see the both parties' sole goal is to suppress freedom. And that's what Jesse's basically saying there, too. Or what I'm saying, but what Jesse said also.
Just as we already said, they only unite when it's against you. Because let's make it clear, the Repubs and Dems, they're always the same party. They're always with each other. All this bickering that they do, and like, the Republicans are stopping us. The Democrats are stopping us from doing this. It's all theater. It's all political theater. It's just a bunch of hoopla. And whenever they go home and they take their suits and ties off, and Nancy Pelosi goes and illegally gets her hair done and eats ice cream, they all talk about, hey man, that was some good shit talking you did out there. Ha ha, fist bump, whatever. They're definitely not ever trying to do what's right for you as a citizen of the United States. As a citizen of the world, we're wreaking havoc on the world. We're some fucking monsters. But you ready to hit play?
Yeah.
Hit play.
When he entered the Republican primary, he was not a third entity then. He was a Republican. Just like Bernie says, Bernie likes to tell everybody he's an independent, and yet I find Bernie is nothing more than a Democrat. Because I approached Bernie Sanders when he was in 2016, and I was going to break my cardinal rule. I actually thought about endorsing him. I went down and called his people, went down. He wouldn't give me the time of day. When he finally did, he gave me 30 seconds in a hallway. And I asked him one question. I said, Senator Sanders, if you lose to Secretary Clinton, will you support a party movement or will you yourself run as a third candidate? He looked at me and says, no, I will 100% support Secretary Clinton. I walked out of the building knowing he's nothing but a Democrat. He's just masking as an independent. He isn't truly an independent. He's a Democrat. Trump became a Republican when he ran for that office. You're not going to tell me that they're a third entity when they join a party and run under that party's label for office. No, they are now part of the Republican Party and they are part of the Democratic Party. They are not independents. Neither was Donald Trump. Well,
Yeah, Bret Weinstein tries to say Trump was third party or whatever, and so Jesse kind of shits on it, and I agree. And by bringing up Bernie. And so Bernie was the person, or Jesse was the person that talked about Bernie in 2016. And Immortal Technique didn't support him either. And so that was Jesse and Immortal basically were like the tip off that Bernie wasn't really what he says he was. And there's other people that knew Bernie wasn't, had a big of a pair of balls as they made it seem deeply, or as it made it seem he had. And so like again, this is why I'm hella draft Jesse, because he was able to ask the right question to punch a hole straight through the bullshit of Bernie Sanders, and that's why I, unlike like Tim Black, we'll get into another day his speech where he said he supported Bernie twice. I'm with Bruce. I supported Tulsi the second time. Now, luckily, thanks to the non-ability to vote in primaries in the state I'm in, I didn't have the chance to vote for her, which was a good thing because of her stance on that whole Twitch shit, which is a whole different topic.
Yeah,
But
that's a whole other
I'm proud.
video.
I'm definitely the type. Fool me once, shame on you. I don't get fooled twice. I voted Bernie once, never again. I would have had the chance to vote Tulsi, but their party didn't allow me.
She exposed herself too soon.
Yeah, that ended up benefiting me because now I'm glad I didn't have to vote for her.
Yeah. To that point, Bernie and Tulsi were the last hope of the Dem. And, same with AOC. That as I said in the last video, AOC gave a whole nice ass speech on how she was ashamed of her colleagues and how shitty and she talked a lot of shit. But when push came to shove, she voted for that stimulus package. She said, yeah, okay. They don't have the balls because they're in that party to go against their party. Those they boys, those they dudes. That's the crew they run with. Shame on me. There's a shame on me for thinking that dudes that run with that crew can actually be different from the rest of them. Because when they got put under pressure, they folded. And they have folded and folded and folded every single time. There is no reason to vote Republican or Democrat. Because they're all the same. They're all going to push the same bullshit. It's all going to be political theater. I remember seeing a tweet yesterday. The $1,200 we got from the feds a couple months ago, I believe as of yesterday, it was like $767 a day. And that's what the feds gave us. And when it came time, when they actually started to talk about it again, a $2,000 stimulus, what did the Republicans and Democrats do? They postponed it until September. They're putting off helping us, both parties. I don't know how that's even possible. I wish with my job, I could be like, you know what? Let's postpone this inspection until, I feel like doing it. But obviously, no. It's like, no, this unit needs to be inspected. It needs maintenance to go take care of it. Go ahead.
And so Jesse kind of pointed out how, like, when you join the cult, you're part of the cult.
Part of the shit.
They try to pretend
part of the crew, part of the
like
shit.
Bernie tries to pretend he's not. Weinstein tried to pretend that Trump's not, but they are. As you point out, AOC is, and as Jimmy Dore pointed out multiple times, improved through multiple votes and fuck-ups. Something I realized before this year was something that, like, it's almost as if they take turns voting for shit that matters. Like, we've seen it with, like, even the Cory Booker and Kamala Harris types with Medicare for All. We saw they took turns voting for it even though they didn't believe in it. It really kind of proves that it's one big club and that they're all in it except for you, so they're willing to go out and vote a little risque.
It's all theater.
Risque. Yeah, to make
just
it seem
a
like they're on your
tease.
side. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, look what I did unexpectedly.
So that's why I said, like, and the more I see Tulsi would fuck up some. I mean, Rand Paul was easy to find a bunch of fuck ups. Like, yeah, he's doing the no-knock warrant, bringing out a Taylor Act in the Senate, but it's a lot more complicated than just no knock horns, my guy.
Yeah, it's just one thing is not gonna fix it
so,
all. It's
so
a
that's
lot
why I
more.
said, like, I don't care if it's AOC, the Squad, or fucking Rand Paul. If you're part of the goddamn cults, like, you're part of them. Just admit it. And so his half-assed attempt on that was half-assed. Like, that wasn't the whole reason she got shot. I tell you that much. That was just the mechanism they used to make it legal, my guy, or to set it up, not to fucking, not the setting it, not the pre-targeting, the setting it up, the logic and reasoning why, the legality making it legal, etc., etc. It was a lot more than just that. And I don't like that half-ass attempt shit. And so that's why I don't fuck with him either. Like, I'm not, I'm not like oh, you would never support a Republican. Nah, I would support Ron Paul if he was consistent and he was still in the fucking government, and I could verify it. And when he did, I respected his opinion. But Rand's a whole other fucking pussyfied issue. I don't fuck with him. I don't fuck with anybody at this point. Because they flip-flop too much, and it doesn't matter what side they lean on.
Can't fuck with your crew.
Yeah.
It's very simple. I'm the type of person in my actual personal life, if you friends with someone that I am a hard line against, that I don't like, I'm not fucking with you. Plain and simple. I've had to have this conversation in person with people. Be like, hey, why'd you start fucking with me? Oh, because you started fucking with this crew. And I'm like, whoa, but like, me and you was cool though. But like, yeah, I'm not cool with your boys though. I'm not cool with them. They can't come around here no more. Fucking daddle, type shit. So it took me a while to get to this point where I'm like, yeah, no Democrats good, no Republicans good. Hey, how all cops are bastards, all Republicans are bastards, all Democrats are bastards.
Hey, to your point, someone just threw a water bottle at the police in Portland, so that's pretty much my stance on both political parties. I do appreciate the Green Party, which we'll get into another night, about everybody against the duopoly, but I don't agree with their fucking solutions to the duopoly for the most part. Yeah, at least we can all agree they're completely and utterly fucked. This is a big switch for most people, at least to the left since Obama.
And we need a big changing of the guard. The current people in the system are all too old to be running the fucking country anyway.
Shit, even the young ones like the goddess-looking ones like Tulsi still be fucking with the ancient 70-year-old Twitches played by 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds who are old enough to buy their games legally. Oh yeah, sure they are, Tulsi. Sure they are. Shut the fuck up. Man.
Yeah, Twitch with all their rules to make their platform more kid-friendly.
Yeah, man, like, that's why I'll forever say, remember who the biggest YouTuber was? PewDiePie. That motherfucker was corny and for little kids, okay? There's nothing to debate. There's nothing. Nothing.
Whenever he started cursing and shit more and being more of himself, YouTube actually started to ignore him more.
Exactly.
Whenever he stopped being
kids.
Whenever he stopped being kid friendly and focused on games, whenever all that stopped, YouTube wanted to ignore their biggest star on the platform.
And me and Bruce have been gaming for fucking decades. Like, the more you get older and better at games, the more they dumb them down and make them easier for noobs to play. And the noobs also happen to coexist with kids. Kids are noobs too, because they haven't played games as long as us.
Exactly.
Every time we bitch about making game casualized, we're also saying, oh, they're also making it more kid friendly. That's why I forever bitched about Destiny being rated T. Like, that was clearly for the kids, and it ruined what could have been a better game.
Yeah. It just kind of getting to that point. There's this little tangent that I like my games rated M because I want some more mature. I legit want some more mature. I want someone to challenge me.
Kids though.
I want more mature topics.
We played Battlefield when we were kids.
Yeah, we played Battlefield.
So
I'm
kids
cool
are
with kids. I'm cool with kid stuff if it's like Avatar: The Last Airbender, where there's clearly some deeper meanings behind all the shit, and it's it grows with you and it's still relevant to this day type shit. But we're getting off topic. Let's get back on track.
No, you're always right. The police state is a fire nation. You're not wrong. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
civil rights leader for civil rights leaders for the most part were the Air Temple. Freddie did
And they
play.
and they killed them all. And they killed them all.
Metaphor doesn't exactly. This is why. Again, art imitates life. Life imitates art. Yin yang.
It's all one circle.
And fuck Andrew Yang.
Fuck Andrew Yang and his incremental.
Yo, speaking of that, real quick, I heard that it was a right wing ideology behind the UBI. That the reason why the UBI was a thing was the only reason why crony capitalism would work is because of a UBI. And Andrew Yang supporting a fucking UBI is, and I've been told you this since the primary. It's like, yo, UBIs are just a band-aid over an already existing, pay gap and issues and shit like that, and living cost expenditures. And when I heard that information, and then I heard Yang's stance, then it makes Yang's stance and my stance on Yang and for his policies, it makes more sense.
Makes more sense. Makes him look more flimsy.
Yeah,
a little more paper thin.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I don't fuck with him.
Because the only reason
to Jesse's point, he did try to
would-
run as a Democrat, and remember that, man.
Yeah.
So Jesse was right.
All right, ready to hit play?
Yeah.
Hit play.
Well, I'm not gonna make excuses Democrats and how they run their operation or the Republicans who run theirs. But to me, unless you're running with an I in front of your name as an independent, belong to those two parties. And all the people that Bernie and Trump and all them ran with the party designation by their names. So essentially they need those parties to become their candidates. And so, you and I may beg to differ on that a little bit, but to me, an independent is an independent through. You don't join one party because it's politically advantageous for you at the moment.
Yeah, that was just something we brought up already. But, I really agree with that for the most part.
You don't sell out to the goons that are fucking you over in hopes that they'll help you in the end.
Yeah, that's why
There
that
ain't-
Bernie shit really pisses me off. Like, how are
Yeah.
you an independent if you're supporting Hillary, one of the most corrupt politicians of all time?
And remember, I even gave Bernie and Tulsi an out where I thought they were playing 4D fucking
I don't know
chess.
why you thought that.
I don't know
told
why,
you were
but
completely
I know,
wrong.
I know, I was.
I said it was
definitely
definitely a possibility. It was a It was a possibility, but it was not a probability.
Yeah. What we're talking about for the folks at home is I thought Tulsi or Bernie, the reason why they endorsed Biden was they were gonna become his VP, and whenever it was shown like, oh, Biden can't run the fucking country, he's too old, he's having health issues, they come up, boom, they're the president in a very roundabout way.
They didn't
But
pick-
that's obviously not what happened at all.
But yeah, that would defeat
I
the
gave him
purpose
an
of,
out.
of them working behind the scenes to get Biden elected. But in a
Yeah.
perfect state, and Biden did win, then in a perfect state, maybe something like that would happen. But yeah.
I thought they were playing some 4D chess, but no, it really was like, nah, they just ain't got no backbone. They just gave up. I gave them an out. I tried. I do that too often. That's one of my toxic traits. I like to say. I like
Toxic
to give people
masculinity.
outs. I like to get, whenever someone's wrong, I like to give them an out. Like, hey, you can end it all right here. Here's the exit. If you don't take it, it's your fault.
I would appreciate that when I be wrong on people. When I be halfway through realizing like, oh yeah, I fucked up. I would appreciate it out. Cause I'd be the type of dude that I'd be like, you know what, fuck you, I'm blocking you. It's not like
Yeah.
I don't keep going with it to dig my hole deeper. I'm like, nah, I'm out.
Yeah,
But
because I know how it is when you're making an argument and then you realize partway through, I'm like, oh shit, I'm wrong. But you don't want to just admit it. Your pride gets in the way, and so you try to figure a way out. So I try to give people a way out. Like, hey, here's some common ground, or maybe we could, get on the same page. But a lot of times people don't take it. A lot of times people's pride gets in the fucking way.
Stu's throwing water at the cop vehicles, and he's got like a
Good.
trash can
Do you,
lid.
do you
metal
think
one to
cops
his arm.
shoot at the clouds whenever it rains because of the water?
Dude, I told you. I've been saying. Remember, I've been using the hashtag Laura riots. I was like, how come all these right wingers ain't shooting the clouds for wrecking their city? It seems a little bit hypocritical. That's all I can say.
Do you think
It truly proves the
do you
hypocrisy
think the right wingers
of shooting
will?
looters and shit. Like if a
Do you think
hurricane
right
does it
wingers?
and you're cool
Yeah,
with
do you think
it,
they go out into a hurricane, start unloading in the air,
yeah.
like "fuck you, dude"? Blah, 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 blah.
I wish they did. Then there'd be some consistency at least. Oh, there you fucked my city up. Brat,
How
brat, brat.
dare
Oh,
you?
damn.
I mean, is that what Trump did? Trump want to like nuke a hurricane or some shit? So I guess he's consistent.
Man.
Oh shit! It's like, bro, this hurricane's gonna come fuck up a couple states. Nuke it. What? Yeah, you heard me. Hit the button.
Yeah,
No,
this is
we
those
fin-
clean water bombs for Flint we gotta shoot. You know?
Yeah,
To save Flint from their fucking water crisis.
yeah. Save Flint from the
Anti-lead
water.
bombs. Shoot them. We're on it.
Yo, maybe that's what happened in Flint, Michigan. They had some of those every time it rained, they went and shot up in the air at the clouds, and all the lead from the bullets got into their water system, and now it's poison.
This dude's
Yeah,
chucking
yeah.
a shit ton of water, this dude with the shield, but he has a shirt that says Vote 2020, which kind of means he's a Biden supporter, which means he's
Yeah.
sketchy.
He got the right idea, but the wrong bitch.
Wrong message. All right, you ready?
Yeah. Go ahead and hit play.
Let me give you a quick story you'll love to hear. When I came out of office in 2003, this is a true story. I was the hottest commodity out there. I was the voice of the independent. CNN, MSNBC, and Fox got in war for me. MSNBC
Hot,
won.
toasty
I
commodity.
signed a 3-year contract with them. I was going to be on 7 o'clock, right when Maddow is or whatever. I was
Mad
going to be
cow.
5 nights a week. But the guy who hired me told me in a car, and he wouldn't say who, he said he got a phone call from Washington, 2 very high ups who wanted to know why they were giving me a national forum. You know, after I'd been the independent governor of Minnesota, a national forum. Well, guess what? We set the whole show up. We're all ready to go on the air, and we get an interesting phone call. And here's the phone call. Is it Governor Ventura doesn't support the invasion of Iraq? This was right before the invasion of Iraq. My assistant said, oh, no, he's vehemently opposed to it. He's a veteran. He says this is
The
Vietnam all
communications
over
have been jammed. It can only mean one thing.
Yeah, so literally in Star Wars Episode 1, one of my favorite moments is when the dude's like, oh, the communications are jammed. And he's like, it can only mean one thing.
Invasion.
An invasion. And literally, he says it exactly happened that way. Again, sometimes everybody was a shit on Lucas, but occasionally he was pretty right about a couple
He
things.
got some good shit in there.
Yeah.
Some good dual music too.
Isn't that creepy?
It is.
It always works.
on-
Sun Tzu was right. Like, war's the same no matter what. Whether you're space fucking, what was the joke?
Space wizards with laser
Yes,
swords
yeah.
and blasters.
Yes, exactly. Whether you're space wizards shooting fucking laser beams, bro, or you're fucking U.S. military trying to get some oil from our overthrowing Saddam Hussein and blaming some shit on him that was actually Saudi Arabia. It's always the same. That's really scary. I mean, super scary.
And look at the effects of it, and the whole fact that like how quickly that they were able to be like, hey, no, shut it all down. You know, that's the real scary part to
That
me.
shows you the media's deep in it with the government
No,
and the
all
oligarchy.
right. Speaking
rule.
of the media being deep in it in the oligarchy, let's go ahead and hit play and let Jesse say it.
Again, on the other end, does New Jersey know, or does Connecticut know about this, meaning the big headquarters? We don't know. Here came the big question. Is there any chance he changed his mind? And my subordinate says, I don't think so. This is a military thing. He's on his military hat. The governor, he's opposed to the Iraq war. Guess what? My show wasn't allowed on the air. They had just hired Phil Donahue, the date guy. He was their highest rated show. He likewise opposed the war in Iraq. He was pulled from the air.
Got him.
Now, have you ever heard of a network pulling their top rated show and then not even letting me on? And it was all because they wanted no voices out there of opposition to the invasion of Iraq. So when you think that mainstream media out there isn't bought and sold by our government, there's your example right there. Opposing the Iraq war cost millions of dollars that I would have made with MSNBC as a show host on there. How much would I be making a year if I had gotten the opportunity to do that? But because I had a position of anti-war against the Iraq war, it cost me. And what happened? They didn't get on the air, but they paid me for the whole 3 years. And my contract said I couldn't do any news programs or anything on cable or satellite television because I was handcuffed and tape was put over my mouth because I honor contracts, and they paid me the whole 3 years and bought my silence.
Wow.
True story. True story.
True story, indeed. So real quick, Jimmy Dore always mentions Phil Donahue. You could even mention Mr. Potato Head, aka Cenk Uygur from the Turks, who I don't think we agree with at all on most issues, or at least on political way to get shit done. But even his show was canceled. Like, it's so fucked that fucking not only Orwell was right, but again George Lucas was right. How crazy! That's just crazy.
And how quickly it all happened. Just one phone call, or I guess if you want to count the other one, where they're like, "Are you giving him a show?" 2 phone calls, was all it took to have the silence. And then shout out to Jesse, and this is something that we really got to touch up on. He admitted they bought my silence.
Well, he already signed the contract, yeah.
Yeah, because he already signed the contract, but he didn't.
Then he would have missed out on the money if he fought it. I believe that's the rationale behind that.
So, but the main thing is he admitted to it.
Well, he's transparent, which is what JFK advocated for too. Transparency.
It'll set you
free. Always.
The truth will set you free, and the truth always comes out sooner or later.
So with even that.
But it to me that just says something, a guy who is willing to admit some of his past shortcomings and wrongdoings tells you a lot about his character, that he ain't trying to paint himself as some perfect, type of guy. And
he's just trying to tell you who he is, which is
who he is.
A politician's job is. That's the sad part. He's just doing.
He's not trying to
what
paint
he's supposed to do. As a good person.
If Bernie is the fake, Jesse is the real. To the whole shit with Bernie. Bernie's the realest fake dude. He appeared real, but he was fake in the end.
Oh, real quick. So remember earlier in part 1 it mentions the Watchmen, or I put the Watchmen shit because they mentioned the Tulsa, Oklahoma shit. Remember, Bernie also back in the day mentioned how the public schooling system was completely basically poor man's MK Ultra. So remember,
wait, dude, they had a say in the
point.
national anthem.
Yeah, dude, dude, don't get me started. I wish
every fucking day.
Dude, if I'd have known what it was then, what I know now, or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't have been for that.
Bro, I was in Texas. We had to say the Texas national anthem right after.
I bet that was propaganda.
Yeah, why do you think so many people from Texas are such diehard Texas? They be sucking Texas's dick.
What's the joke? Remember the Alamo? Remember what the Alamo was about?
Yeah, exactly. Remember the Alamo? Not what it was about, though.
That's what Robert Evans was saying something about that because he's from Texas also.
Yeah, but dudes from Texas be weird, but that whole saying it's so weird. Like, I don't know how teachers do it. You're in a classroom and you have all these fucking kids all reciting this bullshit.
Propaganda. That's what it looked like in Nazi Germany. I have zero doubt.
Yeah. Definitely had to have been.
It looked like that, and that's what the motherfuckers don't want to fucking understand. That's probably what it looked like in Soviet Russia under Stalin. That's probably what it looked like under what was it? Italy, Italia.
Mussolini.
Yeah, during Mussolini, like, it's probably what it looked like under other dudes in other places under totalitarian regimes. Like it all is all it's always the same. The names change. That's it.
Not let the fire lower those eyes. Nation.
Exactly. That's a good point.
Recite your oath to the Fire Lord every morning. Okay.
Are you ready for the next part?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, hit play.
To also include the Constitution of the United States of America. Because it seems to me today, the two parties, that it's a worthless document that is there only in name only. Nobody follows it. Nobody goes by the rules of it. I mean, how many wars are we involved in now? And yet we've never declared a war since World War II. Now, it bothers me tremendously today because I'm a Vietnam veteran, but technically I'm a war criminal. I served my country, but I'm a war criminal. Why? Because the United States never did actually declare war in Vietnam, so therefore the Geneva Convention doesn't apply to any of us. We are all war criminals because our own government and politicians wouldn't declare the war. My position's simple. I'm very anti-war, and you'd have to convince me greatly that the United States is in dire trouble and has to defend itself. But on the flip side, if the Congress, I want the Congress to declare war so that then as a president, you can carry out that declaration. But when they don't declare war, then it isn't a war. And that's what we're involved in today. So I would add to you, the Constitution of the United States needs to be followed. It's not just a document there to look good. It's the law of the land.
So, very sad that this has to be said. Our country was founded with the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution. This should be the framework that we work within. In the ideal system, this is like the parameters of which we operate. And whenever there's, some controversy, we fall back on this document and we're like, oh, okay, this is how we go about it. But clearly, we do not. So it is very sad that it has to be said, maybe, just maybe, we actually follow the fucking rules that we set, that our predecessors have set for ourselves.
Yeah.
And once again, the ball's on Jesse to say that it bothers him that he's a fucking war criminal.
Yeah, I appreciate him in talking about the illegal wars and the fact that legal through American legality that they weren't properly followed, thus resulting in everybody who fought in those wars as, for lack of a proper term, for whatever it is, they're basically mercenaries. They were American citizens hired by the U.S. government to fight in wars not authorized by said U.S. government. Okay, those are mercenaries. So that and also coming up, Doodle mentioned that the U.S. government doesn't follow any of the other rules mentioned by the Constitution or the Bill of Rights and shit like that.
They just do whatever, and there's no real repercussions.
Yeah, and this is why when I learned about that, the Black Panthers were so big. They were really big into like a lot of the legal language, quote unquote language, that Thomas Jefferson wrote, from the Declaration of Independence to other shit, because he's again to the point. Like a lot of this, from what I've understand and research from other countries, America is nowhere near perfect, of course, but I think the blueprint it laid out governmentally, and if the words would have been followed precisely, America is on pace to be one of the best countries of all time. But these motherfuckers cocked it up time after time on purpose. And so that's why it is nice when you can read the Declaration of Independence and read the first goddamn paragraph and go, oh yeah, our country's not for what currently is happening. Or you read the Bill of Rights and you go, oh yeah, NSA spying is completely illegal. Oh yeah, the Congress is supposed to launch wars, not Bush, not fucking Congress that isn't willing to stand up to the government because they're on the side of the government to oppose them in their illegal wars. It's completely ignored all the checks and balances, because they all agree that they're going to ignore the checks and balances, which is again why I agree that playing politics at any point in history past from me saying this is just a joke, you know?
It is. It is one big joke.
Yeah.
Because literally, you know, in any other, in any logical way, the judicial system, the Supreme Court would be like, whoa, 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 whoa. By law, section, subsection, whatever, in this document, you guys have to declare a war on this country, to fucking invade them. But that never happens.
That's why.
Go ahead.
That's just why I'm pro guillotine, and I think we need to just do a constitutional convention 2.0 and modernize the language, because clearly these tyrants want to ignore what the original intent was behind said documents during its completely pre-internet, pre-electricity, pre-horse shitting on the fucking road, unless you live around where I live at the moment, I guess. Like, it wasn't a common occurrence to see horse shit everywhere you drove. There's no excuse for this shit. This is why I said, like, motherfuckers want to act like these political issues are beneath them, or politics are beneath them, or whatever. But it's like this whole reality paradigm they live in is beneath common sense. Like, what are y'all debating?
Realities.
Yeah.
They live in a fantasy
like,
land. Cause
this country was founded upon shit that wasn't negotiable, but they want to pretend it's negotiable.
Exactly, and it muddles down the real issues.
True.
We should have never been in any of these wars, and the reason why and it keeps happening, not only with the Patriot Act, but since there's no punishment for these people, they feel as if they're right. I don't know if a lot of these politicians go home and to bed at night, after a nice day of fucking the American people and sleep soundly. But I think that they do, because there's no repercussions for their actions. Like, they sleep well at night. They ain't got to second guess shit, Aaron.
It was one of the Behind the Bastards episode that, I don't know if it was like Nazi Germany. It was a politician of one of the corrupt governments, and they were asked about how do they sleep at night, or something like that. And then the politician dude was like, basically like, sleep aid. And it was like, they don't sleep well at night. They are fucked. They have nightmares.
So they actually are like suffering, but they're just like, I just got to get to sleep. I got to save me some more melatonin.
I have trouble sleeping at night, not because of fucking decisions I made in my life, but because my brain doesn't stop. But these motherfuckers can't sleep at night because of the decisions they made, and so they have to take sleep aids, and they have to do drugs, or they have to fucking, diddle little kids or whatever the fuck that these people are doing, in order to be able to be cool with themselves and ignore the fuck-ups they've made. That's the reason why these people are so evil. That's why Trump's got the history and all those pictures with Epstein and all the other shit he's done in his life, and has to do Sudafed. That's why Biden's fucked in the head and has fucking... You don't think it's a coincidence that a guy that evil as Biden is fucked in the head right now in his older state? It's karma. He burnt out his head with evilness, and at a certain point, his subconscious fucked him, and the Carl Jung type psychology caught up to him, and the motherfucker is now fucked. And the Democratic Party's doing weekend at Biden's and shit on him. Like, it's karma.
Karma.
Like, when it happens to bad people, it's karma. When it happens to good people, we say it's a tragedy. Like, let's accept that. When something like this happened to Tech Nine's mom, it was sad. But when it happens to Biden, it's fucking karma. Let's be clear. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yo,
you can't fuck over people forever.
If I spent my entire adult life fucking over mass amounts of people, and me seeing these mass amounts of people becoming more and more radicalized against the institution that I'm a part of, and then I hold up, and that I'm the face of, I'd have nightmares of guillotines.
Mm-hmm.
If I read articles talking about how more and more boobs are in the military, You
fucking
know,
stupid.
I'd have nightmares too. I'd have nightmares too.
You know, that's why
If
the
I
police
knew.
state's so trigger happy, because of the more this protests are happening, the more they're realizing
They're in the wrong.
it's open season on them sooner or later, just like it was for the Redcoats. Sooner or later.
Imagine being a fucking cop and you read that article that we saw where it's like gang members and all this shit and like gangs have called a
Supposedly.
truce supposedly. But hey, I'm just saying supposedly,
Supposedly, it'd
if
be-
you're a cop and you read this and you say, "Oh, gangs are saying they're gonna shoot any cop they see brandishing their
Dude,
weapon,"
I wish,
how would you
but I doubt
fucking
it.
sleep at night if that was true?
yeah. Well, you would quit your
Yeah.
job and you'd get a better job.
Yeah,
But
you
they
quit-
stay with their job, which is even more fucked.
I'd be fucking
Like-
terrified if I was a cop and I saw that shit.
I guess the joke would be, because I heard there was a pandemic outside, so I went on a hiatus on my job until I could fully grasp the pandemic and what was happening. The cops are in a similar issue, and they continue to show up at the job. So I guess that kind of tells you,
Yeah.
or they're showing symptoms. Maybe their local precincts showing symptoms of said brutality, right? So the disease is murdering citizens, and the treatment for the populace is by fucking shooting said corrupt cops. Said good quote unquote good cops would continue to show up to the war zone where they stand to be attacked by citizens. Sounds like again they're not good cops.
Exactly.
You know, they wouldn't show
Hey,
up. They'd be
Cal.
like, "Oh shit, my quote unquote comrades are like again." If the people on the left were going out doing absolute super bonkers shit, I would distance myself from them. But they don't. Like what? They take a grinder to a fence in Portland. Like oh, that's the most craziest shit. They shot some fireworks. Oh God, what do you want me to denounce fireworks? Like what are you guys advocating for? Like what the fuck? But meanwhile, y'all side murdering people. Like, what's the worst shit the protesters do? Other than beat the shit out of some randos occasionally that are in murky gray conditions. For the most part, they're just fucking around throwing bottles.
Hey,
We witnessed
hey,
it tonight.
Hey, when the riots happened, they burned down buildings, and those buildings
Yeah.
are very important to
Yeah,
the mayor.
exactly.
I don't care what you say.
Their biggest issue is the buildings get burned down so they can go murder humans. It's like, cool. So when Hurricane Laura did it, did you go around shooting hurricanes? No. Again, you're hypocritical and you're morons.
I just want consistency. Go
Exactly.
shoot a fucking hurricane. That's
That-
all I want.
That's gonna piss me off, man, for forever. Like y'all motherfuckers was like, we need to go shoot protesters in Kenosha. What was it? Fucking 5 days later, hurricane destroys a couple states. No white wing militia show up to shoot hurricane. Okay, we're not being consistent. Okay, we're just not. At least the protesters had a reason to be mad. The hurricane had no reason to hate us, but you were mad at the people. All right.
I think the hurricane had a reason to hate us. We keep destroying the planet. I think
You know,
that's
it did
plenty of
fuck up
reason.
a Confederate statue that the government
Oh, yeah,
voted
I
to
saw-
keep. I was
I
so
saw
happy.
that.
I was like,
I
remember,
saw that.
all these people that believe
Even-
in a god.
Even the planet hates us.
Yeah, it's like yeah, I believe in God, but meanwhile, Mother Nature comes and shits on your statue. Clearly not a sign, not at all. Clearly a coincidence. I was like, all right, man, it's funny,
Oh,
anyways.
Yeah, I would have maybe some sympathy, maybe a lot of sympathy, if one of these cops was like, "Oh, I'm the man on the inside. Like I'm feeding information to the protesters on on the troop movements or whatever." You know, I have a lot more sympathy. Like, yo, this is where they're at. This is what they're being told. Like, this is how they're operating. But I don't, to my knowledge at least, and miss the whole point. I haven't heard anything of no cops doing that. You know.
All right, you ready? We gotta continue to power through this.
Yeah, we do. All right, go ahead and hit play.
And it's about time we get elected officials that pay attention to the law of the land. It's beyond the spirit. The document says clearly, Congress shall declare war.
It does.
Spirit involved there. It's in black and white.
In fact, you can make a strong argument that the NDAA of 2012 violated, or at least sets up the violation of every one of the rights enumerated in the Bill of Rights, except possibly your Third Amendment right. So anyway, I'm very disheartened that we have treated the document so badly.
And let me add this. There are things in the Constitution that should be changed. And I'll give you one right now. The Electoral College. Let's get rid of the Electoral College. It's an elitist system. It's totally outdated. The only reason it was in place was because at that time you didn't have communication and everyone had to ride on horseback to Washington. My answer to that is, when's the last time somebody went on horseback to Washington? And the point is, then you hear the argument, well, everyone will forget about the little states because they'll only care about the big states with the people. I got news for you. If I'm running for president and I've given the option to campaign in California or Montana, which one do you think I'm going to? I'm going to the one with all the electoral votes, not the one with 2 or 3. So that's a false argument when they say that the candidate won't pay attention to the little state. They're not going to anyway, any more than they have to. They're going to go where the masses are. And to me, how can you have an electoral system where somebody who gets the most votes loses? I mean, that doesn't happen for mayor, governor, senator, Congress, even dog catcher, if you vote on that. A guy or girl who gets the most votes wins, except the presidency. Now, that's utterly ridiculous, in my opinion.
So there's a lot to talk about with respect to
Here
what
comes.
the Electoral College should be, and certainly there's no defense for what it is. It's a complex issue.
I don't think so. I think it's very simple. He or she who gets the most votes deserves to win.
I believe that should generally be the case.
Anything else is bogus. Anything else is bogus. Look at, for all the years, the delegates didn't even have to vote the way their state wanted them to. Your state could vote for one candidate, but you as a delegate could go there and vote for a different candidate. What kind of nonsense was that? And they're just cleaning that up now in some states. It's still not that way in other states. So you've got an elitist group that chooses. So truthfully, when you vote for president, your vote don't count because he isn't elected by you. He or she isn't elected by you. They're elected by the Electoral College. So that may be the biggest reason we're talking about why people don't vote today, because they know their vote is meaningless.
Okay, so Jesus, man, fuck. Okay, I'll tell you what, this is one of the reasons why I will always love Jesse. Because this motherfucker took it at it to the guy that had him on the interview and shitted all over him with the Electoral College on how democracy works. Like I said, the only thing missing from this whole conversation is ranked choice voting. I think ranked choice voting is the smartest, not only because, fucking spoiler effect and better chance for smaller candidates to win. I like it because it literally lets you put in perspective of what ideologies you like and witness it. Okay, like I said, when I did mine, and I went with fucking Jesse, and then I think I went with Mark Charles, and then like I went with then like Howie Hawkins, and then like Joe Jorgensen, and then I think I'm missing some, maybe not. And then it went Biden, or then it went Trump, and then Biden, because it was it's interesting to understand who your second, who your third, who your fourth is, and why. Because it lets you understand different ideologies and round out your own opinion. I'm not opposed to free speech. That's why I said, like, I value it. I value hearing other stances on politics because it lets me mold my own.
But when I hear other stances and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're still retarded. Yeah, I'm right.
That too, I agree 100%.
You know,
Like,
I like free speech. That way I can hear dumbasses talk and be like, yeah, I know I'm in the right.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to free speech. I'm not I think ranked choice voting is needed. I think the electoral college is stupid, and I think the person with the most votes should be the president. That's how it should work. This isn't complicated.
Is
you want to say
system.
You want to say
it's
countries like Montana don't matter. Trumpet dude's back in Portland. Shout out. Like Montana doesn't matter. Go to Montana and say, hey, if like I said, like if I was running for president and I went to the small, I'd say, hey, I understand you guys live smaller, you're in smaller. Like, vote for me, and I will come to your goddamn fucking state and work out something a little more specific for you because I understand you're different than different states, and your population of an entire state is smaller than like a medium-sized city in a big state. I understand that, and I'm willing to work out with you. But this whole notion of governing, broadly, is completely flawed.
It's just mad outdated, and it's
Yes.
that same shit that there's no repercussions if your electoral college fuckhead just doesn't do what the majority of the state
It's
says.
scary, because
Yeah, they
that
can literally.
prevents a third
That's
party president.
yeah,
That's what
it's
that truly
literal.
does.
It's a literal oligarchy. You're
Yep.
not voting for your president. You're voting for an elite to elect the president.
Yep. Yep. I mean, I've looked into the electoral college before, but I totally forgot. But like, what I remembered is like, it's what Jesse basically said: is it's stupid. It's not
Yeah.
what you want in a democracy. It's some bullshit they made up at the time because of goddamn horseback riding communications, which makes a lot of sense. Like, hey, everybody go vote. Tell how you
Yeah, you
voted to
can't
this
have.
guy, and this guy's gonna go talk to the other electorals and then ride to fucking DC. Makes a lot of sense. But we
Yeah, because
don't
you
live
can't
under
have
those
all
times.
of them. You can't have all of them fucking riding the DC and be like,
Yeah,
all right, I
it
vote for
makes
this dude. I gotta go
sense.
back home.
It
Yeah,
makes
it makes
sense,
sense for back. That's why I
you
said
know,
it's just
representing
outdated.
districts. It
Yeah,
was the
it's
same
outdated.
concept as Congress, but for how to elect the president, or some similar, not the
Hmm.
exact same, but similar. You have a big state, wide state. You have multiple people as the electoral voters, and then they all talk, and then they pass the word on how the state voted.
So,
Like, different times, man.
no, it's just a very outdated thing, and it's being abused to the point where it's detrimental. And in a true democracy, it literally is majority rules. You know, so just more evidence that we don't actually live in a democracy,
True.
right there. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Hit play.
It's like when the mafia leader said, if you're going to kill
Here
John
we go.
Kennedy, you cut off the head of the dog, not the tail.
So,
Marcello said.
so
As you
you,
can tell, I'm a Kennedy aficionado. I've studied his murder for most of my adult life. I find it extremely interesting reading.
it's a fascinating event, and we were trying to explain the complexity of it to our children at dinner the other day because whatever it is that happened haunts the nation to this day. It's almost like things stopped making sense in 1963 and they have never gone back to making sense.
Sir, you are, in my opinion, exactly correct. You and I sit together on that. We have not been the same country since the coup d'etat took place in 63. And you notice I called it a coup d'etat.
I did notice that.
Just make sure when you pull back the curtain, there's an audience there to see it. I'll be blowing the American people off their ass enough to pay attention. Again, you got 50% of Americans that don't vote. And I sit in my head going, how can you not vote when the government takes half your money? You go to work 40 hours a week. The government takes out half of me when you do that. Shouldn't you pay attention to who's taking your livelihood and your money? And yet you got American people that don't care. They just, their lives don't bother me. As long as it's smooth, as long as my life isn't interrupted, it's all okay. But see now.
So, I think he meant. I think it's 20 to 25% of your money's taken. I
Yeah,
literally know this because this guy told me years ago about this. This is why I said this is the weird thing about Jesse that some of these people that are not pro Jesse movement don't understand. Is I've been fucking with this dude for years. I know what the fuck he thinks inside and out on politics because I've followed his show before he was on RT when he was just himself on his channel. He talked about this issue and that it was a fourth of your money. He said 1 out of every 5 days you're not working. You're not getting paid for. Because if you work 5 days a week and they take a fifth of your money, 20% of the tax rate for the poor people, literally 1 out of 5 days you're not working. And
Yep.
so that's a good point. And so framing it like he does, I agree. And Bruce mentioned JFK and other civil rights leaders not being mentioned. To his point, the mafia did say take the head of the snake. Who's the head of the snake? The civil rights leaders. That's why I showed the picture of JFK, MLK, RFK, and I showed some Fred
Malcolm
Hampton and
X.
shit too. Malcolm and Fred Hampton, because that's important too. They all got whacked. I showed off the Federal Reserve Executive Order. You can look it up. 1 1 1 1 4 ones and a 0, and that's the executive order to get off the Federal Reserve and make our own currency. It's still on the books. It's still the most logical solution to our currency issues, all of them connected. And I don't think it was a coincidence that the guy that got off the Federal Banking Reserve got whacked for it, because anything ever connected to the currencies, people get whacked, from fucking Libya to Venezuela to Iran to there's another one in the middle. I don't know if it was Qatar. There's another one. Like, when you fuck with the petrodollar, shit happens to your country every time.
Yep.
And so,
And
go ahead.
no. Go ahead, finish that.
No, that was about it. I like showing. Okay. To Bruce's point, I like showing off that shit ain't made sense since '63, and showing off the pictures
since the coup happened.
And I don't think it's just '63. I think it's since like the deep state got superpowered. You know, seeing those pictures of Fred Hampton fucking with different types of white people and other minorities for a common cause is one of the greatest inspiring things I'll ever witness as someone that gives a shit about politics.
Yeah. And to Jesse's very important point that's not to be overlooked is the comfortableness of a lot of people in America. And when you're comfortable, that makes you unwilling to make yourself uncomfortable for the comfort of others. Because there's a lot of us who our entire lives, we have been uncomfortable. We have been on the fringes and the enemies of society, you know, to where being uncomfortable ain't new to us. But whenever you are exposed and you can no longer ignore the flaws of your nation and your society, it makes to where you feel like you have to do something. But the fact that you're okay and that you're thriving in the current system, you know, and I know I'm saying you, but I mean anybody, someone, you know, not to be super specific to anyone watching the video or whatever. It makes it to where that person not necessarily may identify the problem and may identify with the people who want the solution, but are unwilling to pursue the solution themselves. And when it gets down to the nitty gritty, you know, if you just out in life, if you want things to get better, you're going to have to get off your ass. You're going to have to be uncomfortable. You're going to have some hard days ahead of you. You can't just wait for it to happen or have someone do it for you. You got to get up and do it yourself.
You know, every time I hear people talk like that, I take that because I'm, you know, I'm trying to run for Congress one way or the other.
Yeah.
And I hate hearing that, but, you know, it's true.
It's true. And when I say that, I don't mean, you know, it got to happen, you know, soon. It got to happen today. That when I was younger, I was like that. Like, yo, you got to have, like, a plan to make it happen in a year or something. But, like, now there's a process and everything, you know. You got to just take steps forward. Whatever steps they are, you just got to take them forward.
You know, and then I put in the picture of the V mask, and it says spilled water will never return to its container. And I put that there because of all the civil rights leaders getting whacked from JFK up until Fred Hampton era, like all of them. You know, just because you spilled the water, they're not going back in the container. You know, that's what I'll forever say. And to Jesse's point about 50%, it's 46.9 didn't vote. It's basically 50% in the election in 2016, and it's to your point that as we're seeing on social media, that all the Democrat people are bitching about progressives not voting with them, and they're going to vote they're trying to get the Republican vote. The solution's always just to go get the other people that aren't voting's vote, because they're literally technically undecided or unmotivated, and it just proves that the political system is all propaganda, and that they want to keep the people already in the system, in the political system, within said political system, opposed to bringing new people into said political system. It's literally that simple. If you're fucking gonna vote Green Party, you're just as useful as a tool as a fucking Democrat voter, because you're still voting in a corrupt system. Like, I think this is what, like, the anti-vote people were talking about in 2016, like Nino Bless, and I disagreed then. But I think it's even more obvious in 2020, because at least fucking Jill Stein, when you heard her talk, she was smart and articulate and had some ideas. and Howie Hawkins is a fucking piece of shit, and all the other ones are pieces of shit. And we're at the point where there's mass protests. You literally see people with fucking shields right now, and you're telling me to vote when people are in the streets saying the police state is fucked, this whole country's fucked, the whole justice system is obviously fucked,
And remember,
and you're saying vote.
both
what?
both of these two-party candidates are saying the police are in the right. You know, with these mass protests going on, both candidates can agree the police are right. That they want the police to have, like, you know, the was it qualified immunity. You know, they want the police to be okay with killing random people. What's that shit Joe Biden said? Oh,
Shoot 'em
maybe
in the
just
leg.
shoot people and shoot them in the leg. You know, and then never forget that. Both Trump and Biden are pro police state. They can agree on that. You know, debates probably won't happen. I ain't heard nothing about them because
I'm not sure at this point.
fucking Trump wants Biden to take a piss test when he needs Biden to have a fucking brain scan. You know,
Shit is a joke.
Biden's camp doesn't want him to fucking go to debates because Biden will literally just be rambling as if he's off his fucking shits on crack rocks.
Hey, Jesse supporters were saying, you know, Biden doesn't want to debate. You know, Trump's fucking ego get in the way. Draft Jesse
Oh.
debate. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember seeing Jesse say that. They're like, he'll come in debates. He'll shit on him. He don't care.
Well, that's just that was him being cocky about how he would take down the system if he could get into the debates. But I mean, that is still true. If he could get to debate anybody, either one from the main parties, and show the American people how fucked the main two parties are, it's over. I mean, I still don't disagree. That's why I'm draft Jesse. I don't think it's close. Like, I think this is the modern equivalent to George Washington in the Mist. A movement behind him organically because of what he's done over his lifetime of service to the American people, from educating us to fighting in a fake war and admitting that it was an illegal war. He's done it all.
Yeah, he's lived that shit.
Yeah.
He bout it. There's a lot of dudes out there that like to talk about it, but very few motherfuckers want to be about it.
All right, you ready to finish this up?
Yeah, let's finish it out. Go ahead and hit play.
Actually are being asked to wear masks, and we can't even get people to do that.
Gosh.
We can't even get American people to guard their fellow Americans and wear a freaking mask. And I use my mother as an example. My mom spent her entire adult life wearing a mask. She was head nurse surgery at North Memorial Hospital in Minnesota. She was in surgery all week. You wear a mask in there. These people that talk about, oh, masks do anything, I challenge them then the next time you have surgery, tell the doctors and nurses they don't have to wear masks at the surgery. You know, germs away. You don't have a worry about them. See, we can't even get people with their own lives on the line to wear something as simplistic as a mask. I mean, did you see last night they booed when they announced at the Trump thing that masks are required? The crowd erupted in boos. That's who you're dealing with here now. You're dealing with a public that I don't know, maybe you're giving them more credit for intelligence than me. You know, maybe that's the problem. You believe they have more intelligence than what I'm dumbfounded.
All right, so
He dumbfounded.
that wasn't the natural end to the interview, but it was funny. As far as the mask issue, I will forever stress a couple things. The main one being, Luke from We Are Change was pro-mask before it really hit America, and I don't agree with him on everything, especially on the protests, but I trust
Especially
his
not now,
foreign
yeah.
policy, and I trust a lot of the shit he believes in, and the fact that he was pro-mask well before it was a debate, which makes me think mask was the right solution, and the fact that it is a debatable issue makes I think Jesse's really funny as fuck shitting on Trump supporters like that. It's why I said I fuck with Jesse, like, it's just not even close. Like, he's so fucking right on issues, and then he's funny on issues.
When it comes to the whole mask shit, it's like, I don't know why it's such a fucking problem.
They don't like wearing
You know,
masks.
you
If
know,
they were in the
and all
cowboy
the
time, though,
things.
they'd have wore
Yeah,
masks when they were wearing bandits and shit. When they were cowboys wearing
yeah,
masks because of all the dust, I think, or something, or to hide their identity. They would have worn them then. The irony.
dude. What baffles me is like, out of all the things you could do to say fuck the government, why this? You know, it'll be different
It's the only
if
thing
all
that
these people
affects
grew
them.
up. Oh,
They're
ooh,
in
good
such a
point.
bubble. The only
Good
thing that
point.
affects them.
This is the only time where the feds
the
have come
only.
in their lives and been
Yep.
like, "Hey, do
NSA
this."
spying? Nope.
Nope, don't care. I'm
Fucking
comfortable with
corrupt
NSA. They
two-party
don't bother me.
government? Not bothering.
Don't
Endless
bother me.
war? Not bothering them.
Don't bother me.
Non-living wage? Somehow not bothering them.
Don't bother
No
me.
Medicare for all? Not bothering them.
Don't bother me.
War on drugs and poverty? Not
Don't
bothering them.
don't bother him.
Like, how the fuck does nothing bother you people except a goddamn mask? It must be
It's
nice.
a piece of cloth to just say, "Hey, I don't know if I'm sick, but I'm not trying to get other people sick." And we can all collectively say we're not trying to get each other sick. These motherfuckers,
Even if they didn't believe in
they
it.
had an armed protest.
Even if
well,
they didn't
against
believe
this
in it.
shit.
They can't just wear it to humor their fellow civilians. Think about
Nope.
that.
Nope.
Like I said, man, when I go
these
to a
the same
speak,
other
when I
these
go-
the same other these the same motherfuckers that's like, if you don't want to get shot by the cops, just follow the law.
Yep. We've seen historically masks were a thing in multiple different time periods. We've seen pandemics and diseases, and spreading of shit was a real thing in multiple periodic times. We've seen mass grave burials as a thing periodically times due to viruses. And yet, we know surgeries are still a modern thing. We've seen modern science since the pandemic coming out and confirming mass reduced spread of saliva, or not saliva, but droplets and shit like that. It's not
Yeah.
complicated. If you put a fucking thing over your goddamn face, you spread less germs. It's literally not confusing. It's simple. Just think about that. And people still debate it. They're debating shit that isn't debatable. Yeah.
Like, this is that shit where it's like, we have to go through this to get to the important shit because you're fucking dumb.
That's why I said it's the gridlock of the government and even political discourse where we're debating stupid shit now that shouldn't be debated. Like I said, I'm for debate. I think debates are cool. Like, even if there's something stupid, like if we were debating chocolate versus white chocolate, I would be sure. Let me hear the positives of white chocolate. I mean, I'm for chocolate. Really, I'm pro dark chocolate.
Fucking good.
I think dark chocolate's better than all chocolates.
White
They can go fuck themselves.
Fire. Them cookies and cream Hershey's bars be
like, I think that's a better debate than goddamn mask, no mask. Like, that's why I said it's not a joke. That's where we are. We're debating shit that isn't debatable.
Exactly. And it's so stupid that when I go to work, I hear these motherfuckers being like, "Oh man, this mask thing is kind of stupid," and I'm like, "Really? That's your problem?"
Like, it would be. It would be stupid if everybody was tested and confirmed not have it. Like, when I see people in the NBA bubble with the masks, and everybody theoretically should be tested, or I see a guy on camera by himself with a mask, I'm like, well, that's kind of stupid. But if I go out in public and see people with masks, guess what I'm not thinking? This is stupid. You know what? Like, that's what I mean. Like, I'm cool.
Personally, I just like the mask.
I like the mask too. I mean, I'm rocking the V mask. That's why I'm big in the V mask imagery and hashtag Jesse V mask. But like, if I go to a speakeasy that's not wearing masks, guess what? I'm not wearing a mask either, as long as I keep my social distance and ain't slurping on people's faces and shit. I'm cool. Like, I'm not worried. But if I go out to fucking Walmart and there's people every fucking 2 seconds I'm bumping into or close to or grabbing the same shit as them, I'm fine with the mask, because masks also do keep you from touching your face, which we all know that's how germs work. Like, I'm not opposed to germ science, but I am opposed to being fucking the monk dude where you're super afraid of germs. I'm also opposed to that. I do think building up immune system is something that was real and that got done away with. But we also know the historical where the European settlers came to America and fucking genocided some of them off through disease. And we've also learned about tropical diseases genociding off, not even foreign invaders, but foreign occupiers. in
Yeah.
Caribbean places or in Africa and shit. So if we know this shit exists, we have it documented on wide scale statistics, but people are still debating it, which is just
It's the
fucked.
first, and it's
It's
the
fucked.
first thing they want to bring up. It's
It's
it
so
hurts my,
fucked,
it
dude.
hurts my, it gives me a headache.
And that's why we're
Just-
hashtag draft Jesse. These people are fucked. All of them. Almost everybody.
It's getting
It's-
to the
it's-
point. It's, with this mash shit, it's getting to the point where I don't hear other people talk about this. I don't want to hear your opinion on wearing a mask. Like, bro, you gonna wear a mask if you in front of me. You know,
I'm watching the stream. This
my
person
fucking
right
donut
here,
shop out here selling fucking masks and shit, dog. Like, come on.
gotta make that money.
I want some more donuts.
All right, so that's it for that interview. We'll close it up.
Yep.
You got anything else on the speech or anything on Jesse or why you support the Jesse movement for this video that we haven't mentioned?
None that we haven't mentioned. He's a real dude. I like his policies. He admits to his own mistakes and his shortcomings, and he seems like he's about that action. And I truly do I truly do feel like he's the only legitimate option.
Yeah, no, I
If
agree.
if you don't believe me and you're watching this video, go read up on him a little bit. I guarantee you'll change your mind.
That's why I said I was glad I've been following this dude for like almost a decade or so. I understand, and not only the understanding his policies and issues and his stances and logic and reasonings, but I've learned a shit ton from his stances. He was like I said, he was the first person that I heard mention the maximum wage concept. He was the first person that I heard mention the fucking working 1 of your days a week is just a waste. Shit like that where it's like, yeah, it's a good point. It's like, remember it's that old T-Track shit. It's like, why don't you, if you don't give a shit either way on what your government does, then you've already picked a side. It's the side of the government because you're not opposing them.
Exactly.
He helped me formulate responses to issues that I've lost friends over because I wasn't fucking educated enough on the nuances on how to explain tough issues or whatever in a way
I don't even
where
think it's tough. I think it's just
breaking
finding
people
the
out of
word.
the bubble.
Yeah.
Matrix, whatever you want to go with.
It's whenever you hit that wall when you're talking to someone, it's like, oh, they just don't care, and that's a lot of times I try not to get in debates with right wingers and Trump supporters. Cause like they're kind of just too far gone. Like they exist in a different realm of reality to where I'm just not well equipped enough to say.
You gotta hit him from the right. I'm telling you, man. I think that would work.
The best thing I do with right wingers is when they bring up Obama, I'm like, yeah, Obama was shit too, and they're like, what? Freaks him out having a black person say Obama was shit.
I haven't had a chance to shit on right wingers yet. I'm looking forward to it. I just shit on the libertarian by just saying I fuck with the boogs more than you.
Hey, we shit on that one dude in Rocket League whose name was Blue Lives Matter. fucking Smurf boy.
So just for the most part, I like I said, I'm firmly on the side of draft Jesse. I'm gonna be that way. These other fucks are useless or got shitty policies, and I think that a lot needs to be changed in the political system and how people are handling it or solutions to said issues. And that's why draft Jesse, draft Congress. Get in the streets. Anything less is just not historically what you're supposed to do. So,
choose what side of history you want to be on, the right side or the wrong side. It's time.
That's why we're doing our own shit. Cause I didn't agree with that People's Party. Like, y'all ain't got no solutions for 2020. Like, y'all we're gonna run people in 2022. I was like, and if I'm supposed to take Jesse's advice, why would I run under the People's Party in 2022 for Congress if I did actually get out of the house and run campaign and shit? Why would I just not run for myself? Like, and make you guys come to me? Like, I'm not. Like, fuck that. I'm not building up your party and myself at the same time. I'd rather build me up and or get helped by said party, but not the other way around.
All right, that's the
Boom.
end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed.
I clap sync.
Clap sync.